Hello, dear viewers and listeners, and obviously people that are doing neither. And welcome to the very first podcast preview show of the new season. It's wonderful to be here. And I've managed to pull him out of retirement yet again. He was going to go back and be a full-time WWE wrestler. It's Stan the Man. How are you doing, Trico? It's nice to have you back.
Yeah, looking forward to the new season. Glad to be here on the first pre-show on Bergkamp Wonderland. And I was on time. I saw you all in the chat box. I was actually on time. And it's good to see you all here. And can't wait to get into it, Dan. Thanks. It feels like ages since I spoke to you, right?
We didn't do a pod the last pod we did before yesterday was the 19th of May. That was like about 9 years ago, it feels like. It's crazy. Let's say hello to some of the people that have been complaining that you weren't there. First of all, we've got BX Gunner as always. Nice to see you, Squire. Paul Nell, not Neil. Hello, Treacle. Who else is we got? Phil Macker. Never do a show unless Phil turns up. It's illegal. Dan Fry is there. Afternoon, Dan. Wherever you are. I should know by now. Stephen Hogger. That's not a name I've seen before, and I do like the name Hogger. Anything to do with rounding up hogs? Oh, I had some hog earlier today. Nom 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 nom. Some cooked in the oven at 180 degrees hog. So happy new season, says Dan. Evening all from Englishman in Canada. And Phil says, hey, ladies. But expect us to get some of this wrong. So first of all, what game are we talking about, Stan? It's Arsenal v Wolves, and I thought it was Sunday. Turns out it's not Sunday. It is Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. And welcome to the new season, people. It is not on TV. Are you surprised?
Well, I've got it. It's going to be on at 7 a.m. tomorrow.
Are you going to get up for it?
Oh, yeah. First game of the season. The missus is not here. I can just roll out of bed in my pants, roll onto the sofa, watch it, and then roll back into bed.
Will you be wearing your Hulk Hogan sponge hands at any time during the game?
Yeah, I could go all in. First game of the season.
Not your macho man Randy Savage underpants. Come on.
Big spongy hands. I might do that, actually. They're easy to get out.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, so no surprise. It's not on TV. Well, the next one we've got is with a little bit of a comparison. Oh, we've played Wolverhampton Wanderers. Does a little bit of mental arithmetic. That is 104 times. We've beat them 64, drawn 28, and they've beaten us 32 times. I think a lot of that will be back in the olden days, because if I look at this, we lost the second game against them in 1905, and then we went for a whole era of spanking them. And then... surprisingly, we lost in 2019 and 20 and 21. Oh, I've been nibbled by a pussycat. Oh, hello, Lily. Yeah, so there was a run of a few games there where they managed to get a win over us, but then we had something like, if I could count it, but I don't know how to count the numbers. It looks like there was about 20 games in a row where we mostly won or occasionally drew with them. Now, the important bit for me is Gary O'Neill is their manager. I quite like him. 41 years old, year younger than Arteta. He has been a manager there for part of last season and so far all of this season. As manager, he has played the Arsenal 3 times. In March 2023, we beat Bournemouth 3-2. December 23, we beat Wolves 2-1. And then in April 2024, we beat Wolves 2-0. Does that give you confidence that he hasn't got the system to beat us?
Well, I know they've made themselves weaker, haven't they, by selling their best player, which doesn't help. You know, with one of their best players, right? So I'm confident that, the stats that you read out earlier is that we can change 64 wins to 65.
Now that would be nice.
I agree with you. I like Gary O'Neill. He seems like a forward-thinking kind of one of these new breed of manager. He seems all right on the touchline. Doesn't seem like he's trying to make it all about him and other sorts of stuff that some managers have as a personality. But first game of the season, we want to get 3 points in their bag. Important.
Yeah, I think he got kicked out of Bournemouth at the end of the 23 season.
That's right.
And they got something else in. I think the fans wanted him to stay, and he's gone to Wolves, and I think he's done a decent job there. He's played 45 Premier League. I think this is all games. Played for 117 and only lost 20. So if you can win a little bit more than you've lost, I think you're doing all right as a manager.
Yeah.
Good. Right. So Arteta's managerial record against Wolves: played 9, won 7, lost 2. So I'm just looking here. We've had a 2-0, a 2-1, a 5-0, a 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 2-1, and then another 2-1 loss, and then the first one in July 2020. How are you playing football in July? No one will ever know. Beat them 2-0. And can you name either of the goal scorers, Stan, in July 2020?
For who? Us?
Beat them 2-0.
2020. Was it one of them Alexis Sanchez?
No. We are back. We played a 3-4-3. Martinez in goal. Back three of David Luiz, Kolasinac and Mustafi. Cedric Suarez.
Back three.
Suarez right wing back. Tierney left wing back. Ceballos and Xhaka in the middle. Saka right wing. Aubameyang left wing, and Eddie Nketiah up front. And the first goal was scored by Bukayo Saka.
Okay.
And the second one was by Lacazette.
There's a lot of red flags in that team, isn't there? Jesus, give me the shivers reading some of those names out. Oh.
If anybody needs therapy after remembering those dark days. It also, I look at Transfermarkt and it tells you the most valuable player. Theirs is now Matheus Cunha, worth 45 million, a 25-year-old centre forward. And our most valuable player is Saka, current market value 140 million quid. Would you sell him would you be grumpy if we sold him for 140?
Depends what we're going to do with it. I mean, I don't mind selling players as long as they are upgraded on. You know, if you're getting rid of someone and you're bringing someone that's better, then I'm all for that. But obviously, there is a little bit more sentiment with someone like Saka because, you know, as the saying says, he is one of our own. He's come up through the ranks, you know. Yeah. So I'd like him to stay.
It always gives a list of ex-players that have played for both sides. You've got Bob Wilson, the Arsenal goalkeeper. We bought him from them.
Okay.
In 1963-64. Bobby Gould used to do Talk Sport. We sold him to them. He was a half-decent striker in his time. Bob McNabb, part of the double-winning side. We sold them to him in 76. Alan Sunderland, that's who we bought. We bought him from Wolves. Yeah. Oleg Luzhny, he went to Wolves when we released him in 2000, just after the Invincibles. Or just before the Invincibles, actually. Jermaine Aliadier, Emmanuel Frimpong, Benik Afobe, and Emiliano Martinez went there on loan. So there you go. I mean, I'm sure there's more than that in there, but yeah, it's not too bad. It says market value for the two sides. Arsenal's market value for all the players, 1.17 billion, and Wolves' value, 362 million. That's some difference, isn't it?
Yeah. The one thing that always pops into my mind when I think of Wolves was when I was in primary school. They had they moved into their new stadium at the time, probably the same one, the Molineux Stadium, and it cost 1 million or something like that, and it was like supposed to be like one of the state of the arts. And now you couldn't get a turnstile for 1 million if you were building a stadium anywhere, right?
True. I went there to Molineux to see Dennis Bergkamp's Arsenal debut in the UK because his debut was abroad. But then I saw that game there, and I was quite impressed with the stadium, parked in their supermarket car park.
His first Arsenal game was a friendly pre-season against Milan, and Paul Ince was playing in the Milan team because I was at that.
Yes, but the first one on these shores was that one. I think Platt was there as well. Just looking at this average age of the sides, we're 25.6, they're 25.1. I seem that our average age of 25.6 Dan is getting on a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think there's a problem with that. I mean, you know, for example, someone like that, Mikel Merino, who's 28, I don't think that's too old. You know, you're 28, 27, you know, a player who's playing at their peak, and you've got to have some experience. You know?
I agree with that, but for so long we have been
You can't let a load of kids just continually work it out for themselves. They need some guidance. And someone like Jorginho, you know, just picking him out, he's the sort of player that provides that for us. It's good to have a couple of those.
It is. I'm used to it as Arsenal's being the lowest in the league. Yeah, international players, we've got 19. They've got 18. Foreign players, how many do you reckon we've got? If you had to pick a number.
Ooh, a lot. Do you have to pick a number?
Not really.
Oh, a lot then.
17.
17.
And we've got 29.
Wow.
That is
wow.
That is a lot.
That's surprising.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to close that page, and then I'm going to go and have a look at the very first time that the Arsenal played the Wolves. It was 24th of September, 1904. Were you there for that one, Stan?
No, I was in doing my homework.
Oh, excellent. It was Woolwich Arsenal 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. Tim Coleman and Charlie Satterthwaite. Oh, that's a name you don't hear anymore, isn't it? Wonderful.
Charles Satterthwaite, yes.
Yes, and we had a few Scottish players playing for them, but yeah, that's it. So what else are we going to look at? Premier League injury table, Stan. I didn't realise we had 4 players injured. Did you know?
Well, I know that Timber's picked up something, and Tomiyasu yet again is out. But who are the other two?
KT.
Who?
Is Kieran Tierney.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Well, he's always injured.
So Tierney and Tomiyasu are 100% out. Jurrien Timber status is 100%. He's past fit, but I don't think that means he's going to be playing. And Fabio Vieira, groin, hip, pelvic injury. That means he's lower body probably. Late fitness test, 50% chance of being fit. Now during the show yesterday, go on.
I was really hoping that Teabag was past all of this. You know, he managed to get a pre-season under his belt, and I was really hoping that, you know, he was going to stay injury-free and be able to make himself available and perhaps come off the bench and start doing something. But him and both Tomiyasu as well, they seem to always have these relapses, don't they? I mean, there was one time where Tomiyasu was out with some sort of a muscle injury. While he was convalescing, he got a muscle injury in the other leg or something, which kept him out longer. And I was like, how can you get ill when you're just like on the mend, when you're just supposed to be resting? So I'm a little bit worried about Tomiyasu and young Teabag. They don't seem to be able to maintain their fitness, even when they're not playing. So.
Yeah. Wolves have got 7 injuries. Nelson Semedo, I've heard of. Matthias Cunha, I've heard of. Daniel Podence, I've heard of. No. Jorgen Larsson, no. Mario Lemina, I've heard of. Enzo Medina Gonzalez and Leon Chiwoni. So there you go. That's all the ones that are injured. Half of them, they say, are going to pass fit for the next game. I don't think I've got any more things to go and to look at. So I'm going to go and bring up our... I haven't updated this from last season, so is this going to be our lineup, Stan? For people at home and on the minibus, Havertz up front, Saka right, Martinelli left, a midfield trio of Reiss and Odegaard, which we always know. The question mark there is going to be who's going to be playing at left back, Stan, and who's going to be playing in defensive midfield?
I think Oleksandr Zinchenko will probably be starting at left back. He had quite a good pre-season, and there are a couple of injuries that would probably may have. I think if Tomiyasu had been fit and available, he may have had got in ahead of Zinchenko. But I think Zinchenko is going to start. Calafiori probably be on the bench. It won't be started. In the midfield there, I think if being well and equal, he will probably switch out Jorginho for Partey.
It does seem to be staying now, doesn't it?
Pardon?
It seems like Partey is staying at the club now.
Yeah, it looks like it, and he's been used quite frequently in the pre-season. Yeah. So I think Partey will probably get in ahead of Jorginho, and I think there's also a shout that Trossard may start in front of Martinelli.
Oh, why? Martinelli's had a decent run with Brazil. No, he didn't go to the Olympics, did he?
No.
I've not watched any of the Arsenal pre-season games. I can't even remember the scores.
I've seen some bits, and I read one. I was reading a report yesterday from I think London 362 or whatever they call it. But they were saying how in the I think the last one now he started well, but then seem to sort of like run out of steam a little bit and be making mistakes. And the question that they were kind of posing was, you know, rather than Gabriel Martinelli improving, has he actually reached a plateau? I was like, okay.
Yeah, a lot of young players from Brazil tend to do that far too often. They are brilliant for it's like the young African players. You just wonder if they've been fiddling the birth certificate, because the pace and the skill he had he seemed to have peaked 2 seasons ago, didn't he?
Yeah, and towards the end of last season, he was being kept out of the team by Trossard. So I think that would be an interesting one to watch, that position.
Yeah, BX says Raya, Zinchenko, Gabriel, Saliba, White, Reiss, Havertz, Odegaard, Martinelli, Jesus, and Saka. What do you think of Jesus in pre-season? People say he looks skinny.
But I would say, if you can bring up your 11 again, I would say that there are 2 players there that I don't think really need to start either. And I think that perhaps Declan Rice and Saka haven't had much rest, really, have they?
That is true.
They haven't really had that much rest. So I would go with an option. If you're going to start them, you want to be able to get into a comfortable position where you can bring them off. Yeah. Or you go the other way by having them on the bench, get yourself into a comfortable position and bring them on at maybe 75 minutes, because just to get the minutes in. But they haven't really had a lot of rest, those 2. You know?
Yeah, Wolves aren't a great team, sadly for them. Like you were saying, their most creative player was gone. Last season, they had to sell some of their best players to comply with the FFP or whatever it's called now. And I think the same might be this season. I haven't actually gone and seen if Wolves have signed. I mean, we've signed 1.5 players this pre-season. Raya, which kind of signed him at Christmas, and Calafiori, we signed him. Is that enough, or would you? And then there's also that bloke, that DM, the Spanish DM, 28-year-old from Sociedad, is it? We're looking to get that done by Sunday. Huh?
Mikel Merino.
That's it.
But that's not been confirmed.
No, I just read a tweet today saying it was going to be Sunday, but you ignore all of that. Go on.
Yeah, I think that if we go into next season and our 3 options through the middle in that striker position is still Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz, and Eddie Nketiah, then I don't think that wins you the league, because we've tried that for the last couple of seasons and it hasn't been enough. I think that Eddie needs to be moved on. That ship has definitely sailed. You know what I mean? And when it comes to Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus, they're very patchy and streaky in their form. You know, I mean, Gabriel Jesus, he very rarely scores a brace, does he? Or he'll score in one game, and in the next game he'll score 2.
4 Premier League goals for him last season.
He seems to be very streaky, so that concerns me. So if we were to go into this season with what we've got right now today, I don't think it's enough, no.
Well, Jesus is still only 27. He does look like an old man. Last season, 4 goals in 27 Premier League games. Half of them he didn't start. Season before that, 11 in 26. That is not good enough for him to start ahead of Havertz. You can't, can you?
And again, you know, Havertz was, you know, at the beginning of the season, a lot of people were asking questions, you know, have we done our dough by spending 65 million on him? And he did come good towards the end. But even when I was watching him in the Euros, you know, he's patchy. There are things that he should be scoring that he doesn't, but he is able to still tuck goals away. But there are so many opportunities that he could be scoring where he doesn't. And I think Gabriel Jesus is quite similar in that vein.
13 in 37 for Havertz last season. I'd say about 75% of those were starts. And that is his second best goal scoring league record. His best was the penultimate season in the Bundesliga. He scored 17 in 34. But a lot of that was out wide right. And then he got moved around all over the place. So I just looked at Wolves, Stan. They have sold Max Kleeman to West Ham for 40, Neto to Chelsea for 54. That's 94 million in. And they've only spent 12 on Rodriguez or Gomez, and 8 on the Brazilian right back called Lima. They've got a Tommy Doyle for Man City, but I don't think it says how much. No.
Yeah, they're never a team that's going to go out and spend all of that money on players. They always like to sort of like keep a bit back, right? That's how they sort of.
But if they've brought in 94 million and they've only spent 21, as a Wolves fan, you're going to look at that and go, "Well, that's 70 million difference. Can we have some more players?"
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they will. I don't know.
Do you think Eddie could do a job at Wolves?
Well, if you was a Wolves supporter, what would you say if they said, right, we're bringing in Eddie Nketiah and we're spending 30 million on him? What would you say as a Wolves fan?
I'd say he's got potential. He could do stuff. I'm just looking at the players they've got up front at the moment. Hwang Hee-chan.
I like him.
Mateus. Yeah, he's all right. Pablo Saliba, Enzo Gonzalez, Ty Barnett, and Nathan Fraser. I don't know any of those.
I'd take Hwang over Eddie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He's a big old boy. Oh, no, he's only 5'10". He just got a large head. Yeah, he was at it was at Red Bull Leipzig. He scored 0 goals in 20 games, and then he's got 20 in 86 for Wolves. So yeah, nothing amazing. So how do you see this game going then? Because we've been going 22 minutes. I'm going to try and make these half an hour every one, and hopefully the post game show half an hour as well, because then I don't spend my entire day talking the arse. So how do you see it going?
Well, it's a home game. Some of what I've seen in pre-season has looked good, the way that we've been playing. So I expect us to go out and get 3 points tomorrow and start the season off in the right footing.
Yeah, I agree with that. Have you got any kind of feeling about the number of goals or the score, or you're just sticking with 3 points?
Yeah, just getting 3 points. I'm not sure if it will be particularly a high-scoring game. First game of the season, and we may not even keep a clean sheet.
Yeah,
but I think we'll win.
People in the chat, if you can put your predictions in, there's not going to be as many as before because there's only 16 of you here. I say only 16. It's 16 is a good number. Oh, 17. And it says that we've got 2 watching on Twitch. Is there really 2 watching on Twitch? It says there is. If you're watching on Twitch, hello. I love Twitch. I spend most of my days watching Twitch. So put your predictions. Oh, here we go. Stephen Hogger has put one in. That's nice. I'll read them all out in a minute. Thank you very much. Spin313 is the one watching on Twitch with me. We are the 2 viewers. Well, thank you very much, Spin. It's nice to see you there. Hopefully you're a Gooner, Spin. That would be nice if you were. And is that your favourite formation, 3-3-1-3? Might be. Come on, people, put your predictions in there. Oh, here we go. Phil, so far, 2 of the predictions are 7-0. Stan, I don't think people are taking this seriously. I don't know.
I mean, we scored a few high-scoring games last season. There were some 5s and 6s in there. We were talking about this last night on Arsenal fan circle about high-scoring games and what would be the highest number of goals. I went with 6. I said I could easily see us scoring 6s again this season. Someone else went with 7.
Well, they have done it a few times. We broke our record last season for the most number of goals scored in a Premier League season for the Arsenal. So hopefully we can carry that on. We will be back tomorrow night after the game. So the game starts at 3, 5, maybe about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Be there for half an hour or so. Phil says, I saw us beat Middlesbrough 7-1. I was at that game as well, Phil. And I saw us beat Everton 7-1. Yeah, I've seen a few of those bangers. Graham Denton says they've stole everybody. That is kind of true, Graham. They have all gone. Until we've only got 4 predictions. Come on, people. Scroll down on your phones. Start tapping in some numbers. Don't put in your national insurance number. We don't need that. Because so far, if we do the predictions... Oh, Spin 3313, 33 1/3 is indeed an Arsenal fan. Spin, it's lovely to have you. We will be doing every single show this season will be on Twitch, because Twitter has decided you have to have the blue tick to be able to stream live on Twitter, which is £100 a year. And I don't have £100 a year. I mean, I do. I've got loads. But I already paid 200 quid a year for this podcast and get 50 quid back. I'm not making it 300. We've got a new name there, Seamus. I'll read these out at the end. Seamus from County Down. All my family are Irish. That's my daughter's been to Ireland twice this year for a hen do, and they had strippers. And then she went for the wedding after. Disgraceful. Phil says, happy days when we were young and fit, Danny and Stan. We're still at primary school. Carnivore diet, Phil. You lose 10 kilos a month. No more I'm on no medication, my boy. Absolutely none. Carnivore and cheese. Nom, nom, nom. Trav has put a prediction in. Brilliant. And so has the Englishman. I'm not sure if to use your name, Englishman, because we email each other just saying hello, because he grew up in Huntingdon, where I live. Well, near where I live. I'm across the bridge. Happy days. Right, that's it. We've got enough predictions there. We have got 8 predictions, Stan. That is more than enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm going to read out the 8 predictions. I will make a TikTok. It will be an Instagram thingy bob, and it will be a YouTube Reels. And there's been another thing there. That's why I didn't say your name, Trevor. So after I've done this, Stan, nice and quick, say your prediction. I will do mine, and then that should hopefully be less than 60 seconds, and it will count as a TikTok. Right. Hello, everybody. And here is the predictions for the first game of the season. Arsenal v Wolves. Stephen Hogger, 3-0 the Arsenal. Graham Denton, 7-0 the Arsenal. Phil Macker, 7-0 the Arsenal. Boom. Dan Fry, 4-0. 33 in the third. Spin, 4-1, the good old days. Seamus, 13-0. Lovely. Trav says 3-0. Havertz, 2, and Martinelli. An Englishman in Canada says 2-0. Young Stan, what are you going for?
I'm going to go with 3-1 to the Arsenal.
And I'm going to go 4-1 the Arsenal. We'll be back tomorrow, half hour after the game, maybe even less if you're lucky. See us then. Thank you all. Was that professional, Stan?
It is very professional, Daniel.
Did it almost seem like I know what I'm talking about?
Almost.
It's our 11th season. 11. We've been through some harsh times. I think we need a little bit of happiness. Do you think we're going to win the league this season?
I can't really answer that until the window shuts and I see what we've actually got to try and win it with. You know, I do think we need a little bit more.
What do you mean? What would you be looking for? Something goals or defence?
I think we need a wide player who can cover for Saka, but can maybe play on the other side as well. He's good on both sides. Another striker option to freshen it up. Like I'd like us to sell Eddie, bring in another striker option, and then we'd have that option, Jesus and Havertz, to play around with. And I also worry that if anything happens long term to Martin Odegaard, who fills in at his spot, who comes into the team and does what he does, it's not going to be Emil Smith Rowe, is it? Because it's going to be it's going to be no one. I do worry about that area of the pitch. Another midfielder. I mean, I always thought it was supposed to be Teabag, but he's out with another injury. He's not even available. So I do think that's where I would like to see us strengthen. Obviously, I don't think we're going to bring in a forward, a wide player, and a midfielder. Yeah. So we'll have to see where they go. But it's still open, so I'm not gonna lose my shit until I see what we're left with. You know, see what we actually do.
Does make sense. We do need a little bit of cover, but first of all, we need to get out some of the players that have got no future at the club. Eddie being top of that list. But I don't think bringing in 1.5 players is enough to do what we need to do. And I've not seen Moreno play, so I don't know if he's more creative or more defensive. I'd imagine he's more defensive than creative. So there we go. Stan, it's been half an hour. Where can if people are only listening, where can they find you on Twitter or talking on a podcast?
You can find me on Twitter at Stan_the_man68. And you can also catch me on Thursdays and some Sundays on the Arsenal Fan Circle with Ray and the rest of the lads.
What a fine bunch of gentlemen they are too. I've podcasted with all of them more than once. Thank you to everybody in the chat for joining us at this ungodly hour for the UK. I'm now going to go and play some more NASCAR Heat 4, an abysmal game. Every time I come into the pits, my car spins, smashes up, and I spend an hour in the pits. Game's driving me mental, Stan. Right, we will see you tomorrow. Thank you very much, Stan.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
And thank you very much, listeners. Goodbye.
As soon as I scored that goal, I was fucking livid. Get down, dog. Splendid business.
He nearly caught the bloody thing. What are you talking about?
So I was just eating a full quiche. Well, you don't often see them at Ibs, so when you see them in the supermarket, they need to be swagged, microwaved immediately, and get the brown sauce on and bosh, Bob's your uncle.
Never in doubt.